Hey everybody, Marky here from John 1911, and this is episode 29 of our Armory chats. This one's going to be a little different. Hold on. This one's going to be a little different, but I think many of you may find this interesting. The title of this Armory chat is going to be Gangsters, Outlaws, and Lawmen. I guess I should add catalog to that. So catalog. So kind of here's what happens. So, you know, over here at the Armory, we get two types of mail. We get priority mail that has to be addressed immediately. I categorize it as lawyers, guns, and money. Basically, you know, legal documents, stuff about guns that we're either buying or selling, or, you know, money, bills we have to pay. So the rest of it, the junk mail kind of goes out the wayside a little bit. So been a busy couple weeks, lots going on. Many of you, hopefully within the next few weeks, hopefully some of this will be obvious as to why we've been extremely busy. We're working on some projects, but I was just going through some junk mail over the weekend. Today's Monday, right? Yeah, it's Monday the 12th, and I happened to notice in the mail there was an envelope that actually had tracking on it. And I was like, holy crap, what the hell is this, and how long has this been sitting here? Because I'm thinking we missed something important. Well, out pops a catalog that is from a company called, I guess, RR Auctions. I don't know what that stands for, but we'll figure it out as we open this up. And the catalog is called Gangsters, Outlaws, and Lawmen. It's a live auction, June 24, 2017. Why the hell am I doing Armory chat showing a catalog of some other company and some other business? You know, well, this will be obvious. So I think many of you who are people that follow us would probably be interested in a lot of the really interesting products that are in here. So this has all kinds of things on gangsters and, you know, some of the Old West fighters. You know, from the Wild West up into the gangsters, up and through like Al Capone, and going into the New York and Cleveland and Las Vegas crime areas, and then, you know, some of the lawmen that, you know, that chased them and hunted these guys down and either killed them or put them in jail. Like, for example, there's photographs from the Nicole Younger and Frank James sideshow, original photographs, and it makes note that Jesse James is probably not in any of these photographs because the terms of his probation were that he wasn't allowed to monetize. I guess after he was, I don't know what his deal was, but he got some kind of adjudication deal, and he wasn't allowed to, you know, make money off of his name, which I thought was just kind of interesting. So, you know, going through, if any of you cowboy guys have ever heard of a guy in Roy Bean, who was a judge in let's see here, in Val Verde County. He called himself the law west of the Pecos. This guy owned a saloon, and he was also the local judge, and he held court in his frickin' saloon. I'm not big up on the history of the West. I'm not a big Western person, but this catalog, the more I just kept reading it, the more interesting it was. So you can actually, you know, get some of his docket paperwork from a judge who held court in a bar. I just think that's hilarious. That just you know, tickles me to death. Here's for those of you that are interested in the Buffalo Soldiers, very interesting document. Here's a muster roll, a muster roll for the Buffalo Soldiers. For example, starting bid on the muster roll for the Buffalo Soldiers, which is, you know, very famous, you know, group, is $200. And we're not talking 10 grand here. Let's see here. Oh, those of you that like this item could go either way. You could either be a fan of the West and fan of Custer, or in that kind of, or romanticized, or, you know, or maybe the battle, you know, the loss at the Little Bighorn. We went to the Little Bighorn and we'll do some pictures on it. Or you could look at the other side of this and maybe say, you know, white man speak with forked tongue. Here, there is actually 2 original Indian treaties from 1870 with Custer's name on this stuff, and we're part of this. Signed, George Armstrong Custer, Major General, U.S. Army. They just I thought that was kind of neat. Starting bid on that is $2,500. But I mean, what the hell? That's just so awesome. Now hold on, don't everybody freak out yet. There's guns here too. Not that many guns, but there's some interesting guns. If you have ever heard of a lawman named Smoot, let's see here, Sheriff Smoot Schmidt. Okay, what we have here is we have a Colt New Service revolver, according to the serial number, produced in 1925. It is a 45 caliber, I assume 45 Colt, 45 long Colt's not right. I mean, whatever. I know that 45 Colt. I would assume. It has a 2-inch. I guess he changed it and had a 2-inch barrel put on it. So here it is. You've got the revolver. You got his original holster, and it's interesting because the cant and the holster and the time that this was made, you know. I mean, I'm curious how this overlaps with like the FBI cant in service holsters. That's what we used to call that, the FBI cant. So anyway, this gun is fit with a 2-inch barrel. It looks like it's in good shape. Schmidt famously used a Thompson machine gun to shoot up Bonnie and Clyde's Ford during the 1933 Sowers raid. So he was one of the people that was going after Bonnie and Clyde, which more is coming up. The starting bid on this gun is $300. And I'd pay $300 for that gun just as it sits. I'm just surprised that it's starting bid $300. It's just really interesting. And then, if you like this man's badges, the Smoot Schmidt badges and boots and his billy club and all that kind of stuff, nightstick. By the way, for those asking, his nightstick does not have a lead insert on the tip like some of them did. At least the ones that like my grandfather had back in the day. Here's a Clyde Barrow actual booking photograph, an original booking photograph for Clyde Barrow, $200. I'm not a big fan of, and warrants too. $200 and $500. And let's see here. We've got, this is interesting. This is really interesting because I learned so much looking at this catalog. I thought a lot of the stuff, even if they're fictional movies, I thought a lot of the behavior that was written in some of these Hollywoodized movies, I thought it was mostly bogus. I didn't realize that some of this actually really happened. For example, a postcard sent while on the run, running from the law, Hamilton taunts his future captor. So what we have here is we have a gangster by the name of Raymond Hamilton. I'll be honest with you, I really wasn't that familiar with him until I read this catalog. Signed Christmas card sent to Sheriff Smoot Schmidt. Let's see here. Postmarked December 22nd, 1934. So, literally a catch me if you can letter from a fugitive to a sheriff chasing him. And it's real. What the hell? That's just bizarre to me. $200. Let's see here. There's Bonnie Clyde. Some more Bonnie Clyde stuff. What's the other one here that we want to see? The good one. Oh, here we go. This isn't that gruesome, especially if you watch real Hollywood movies. But if you're watching this and you don't like some pushy content, you may want to turn away. What we have here, we have first-hand photographs from the Clyde Barrow and Bonnie Parker, is it right, Bonnie and Clyde, death car, so when they got shot up, and there are coroner photographs of Bonnie and Clyde Barrow, set of 3, and there's some original photographs from the so there's original photographs from the shoot up of the car. There's Bonnie. There's Bonnie being laid out again. Now you gotta imagine when these were taken. When were they killed? Was it 34? That's some pretty gruesome stuff. You know, those photographs, let me see here. So the original photographs from the shoot up of the car, $200. Bonnie and Clyde set of 3 corner photographs start at $200. The public viewing of Bonnie, the other photograph, $200. And we're not talking big money here. I mean, obviously this stuff can go up, and you never know what, you know, what can happen. But I just thought this was interesting as hell. So, for any of our law enforcement fans who have ever had a person either in an interview room or back of a police car or side of a road, you've got, you know, you've got video evidence, you've got corroborating witness testimony, you've got physical evidence, and you've got possibly, you know, flipped some people, part of a person that was there that said so-and-so was there. You get a guy, girl too, I guess, and you present them with all this evidence, and all they say is, excuse me, and they always go, wasn't me. I mean, you got all this stuff, and they're like, wasn't me. This actually, here is a fingerprinted testimonial from Clyde Barrow that, quote, he is not now, nor has he ever been, a member of what is referred to by the newspapers and the public as the Barrow Gang. Now, I don't know if that's the same, if they were calling it the Barrow Gang when he was on the run, or maybe this was a, you know, a copycat group or something, but that's just, you know, pretty interesting. It, you know, wasn't me. Oh, man, whatever, dude. Yeah, it was you. Here's a button from Clyde Barrow's shirt the day he was killed. There's apparently some bullets. I'm not really sure. It wasn't really clear to me. Original bullets used to ballistics testing bullets. So a lot of this stuff actually is from like some of the forensic work and some of the actual legal research from the thing. It's just a hell of an interesting catalog. Here's a letter from the guy the Hamilton guy that I mentioned before, basically saying, I need $350 to somebody he knew. He mails him a letter. I need $350. Go to the Rocky Road and leave it, and I'll use it for 2 weeks, and I will give you back $700. And if you don't do it, I'm going to get you and yours. So yeah, please give me money. I'll double your money. But if you don't give me money, I'm going to come and get you. Yeah, classy dude. $200. It says pics of the here are for those of you that are interested in Bonnie and Clyde weapons, because I know like the Whip-It guns and that kind of stuff's kind of, you know, interesting in the gun community. Here are original photographs of Clyde Barrow's weapons. So mostly 45s. There's some BARs. It looks like it's interesting. So, you know, people ratting out other people. Okay, here's some quote. Here's the pop culture section. This catalog is just, I've never seen anything like this before. See, those of you that watch a lot of movies, and I'm not a big movie person. There was a movie made in 1967. I think I've seen this movie because I recognize the name. It had Warren Beatty. I can't say that dude's name. Warren Beatty. Warren, whatever his name is. I think he's still alive. And then Faye Dunaway. They were in I guess they did a Bonnie and Clyde movie. You can buy a prop machine gun. It's not a functioning machine gun. It's a prop. I don't know if any of it cycles or not. But the starting bid on this prop machine gun, I think it's from the same. If it's clear in this catalog, this gun may not have made it on scene, but it was in a collection of guns that they were pulling out and using, and maybe this gun was on set, but may not have made it on film. That wasn't really clear to me because I kind of skimmed it, but it's got paperwork proving that it really was. It's actually part of the set. It's $300. I mean, so if you're going to buy a excuse me, if you're going to buy a Tommy gun and hang it on a wall or a parts kit, I mean, I certainly understand that, but the parts kits are so expensive. If you wanted to hang a knockoff from one of the movies, oh, this is interesting too. It's going to be reverse, but it's marijuana. It's, I guess, PSA PSA posters about the dangers of marijuana, and look how it's spelled. Of course, you can hard to read it reversed. Of course, then there's like cocaine too, and it's interesting because cocaine is injected, referenced in the article. Boy, how things have changed, or maybe not now with heroin or heroin. Let's see here. Dillinger. This is kind of weird. People know about John Dillinger, and he was shot. I didn't come, the Lady in Red coming out of the movie theater. I think I have that correct. Didn't do any research. I'm literally doing all this off the top of my head. I just saw this catalog and just thought it was something cool to share. So I guess it was popular back in the day. Notorious people. They made death masks of people's faces. So there's a photograph of them making a death mask of John Dillinger, and then I guess somebody took that mask and made copies. So if you want copies of copies, why not? I mean, that is a little creepy for my taste. This is interesting. This is really interesting. I'd be curious if these actually keep time. Those of you that are familiar with the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, it was a coordinated hit by gangsters on a bunch of other gangsters. They're all fighting about some stuff. Now, I'm doing this off the top of my head, but as I recall, one of the scenes where the quote massacre happened, one of the scenes, there was a shoot up inside of a barber shop. And it was always family lore from years ago that my grandfather had been in that barber shop that day, I guess before the shoot up happened. And I'm sure over time it gets, went from, oh yeah, I was there a week before, to maybe that day, to a few hours, to maybe jumping out the window. Yeah, you know how family lore is. But my family lore was I always cued in on the St. Valentine's Day Massacre because my grandfather may have had some tangential, crossing of the paths of the people, so I saw the movies. So, Al Capone pocket watch, and a pocket watch owned by a person that actually conducted the thing. Now look at this Al Capone pocket watch. Al Capone pocket watch, it's kind of trapezoidal, triangular in shape, diamond encrusted, and it has AC on it. Starting bid on this is $2,500. I guess manufactured between 1928 and 1929. Whatever. If you like Al Capone stuff, I'm more interested in the people that captured Al Capone. Dirtbags are dirtbags. Fred Burke Eaglin pocket watch. I guess this is a pocket watch of a guy that actually was one of the trigger pullers of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Now this gets even more interesting and maybe a little bizarre. So, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Let me check my time here. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre happened in a bunch of different places, and we're going a little over 15 minutes now. One of the famous places, supposedly, there was, I can't remember exactly, a bunch of dirtbag gangsters were maybe in a garage or warehouse or something, and they were engaged in whatever dirtbag gangsters do. And then a bunch of fake cops that were really gangsters showed up and, quote, raided the place, and they lined them up against a wall, and shot them. That was the real massacre, part of the massacre, shot all these guys in the back. Somebody down the road, I guess, that garage was demolished in 1976. Well, somebody took a brick from that. I don't know if it. I didn't see a bullet hole in the brick, but somebody took a brick from that garage. For all we know, it was on the outside. But you can buy a brick with a, I don't know, there's a 45 caliber bullet. There's a couple other little knick-knack things with it. There's photographs of recovered bullets as they had been scraped up off the ground or out of people's body. They're deformed. So if you can see that a little bit closer right there, those are the deformed bullets. So you can buy a brick from all of that for starting at $200. Look, would you spend big money on that? Who's going to spend $200 on a brick? I don't know. But if you're I don't know, a prohibition gun collector, somebody person, a brick. It's in a display. It's already put together. It's not just like a dirty brick. I mean, I've just never seen that before. This catalog, I just can't even figure this thing out. So, gangster eras. We've crossed over from Wild West into gangsters. So we've got Gino. I can't ever say these goddamn guys' names. The Genovese. I have to think about it, but not read it. Genovese crime family. So we've got the boss of boss as a document signed by Vito Genovese. I guess he may have gunned down. And then there's a Lucky Luciano, signature on a little card or something. And I don't know what it is. I don't really care about the interest in it. This was interesting because I think a lot of people, even if you're not a gun person, and if you're not a law enforcement historian, or you like gangsters, or you like Old West, or whatever, a lot of people around the world have been to Vegas, and everybody has heard about how Vegas was really started by the mob. It kind of was. It takes money, it takes capital. In this case, it was dirty capital. It was mob money to put all that infrastructure out in Vegas so people would go out in the middle of the desert and gamble their lives away. This, quote, extremely rare Bugsy, I think that's Bugsy Siegel, signed stock certificate representing the New York mob's interest in the Flamingo. Is the Flamingo gone? I used to have to go out to Vegas a lot, back in like the 90s. I used to stay at the Frontier, and I used to stay at the Bellagio later on, and then I would stay. I'd always eat breakfast at the Sands. I think the Sands is the win now, but I always would. So I don't know if the Flamingo is still there, but anyway, here is a stock certificate from Bugsy Siegel, and Bugsy was their local representative for these businesses, and this is documented proof of the connections between the mob and the structures for Las Vegas. That's just cool as hell. It's just really, really, really interesting. I've never seen that before. That is starting at $2,500. So if you want, dappered coat tailored for Meyer Lansky, not really my bag. I debated this one. We're about done here, so if you can't stand this and you wanna check out, I understand. But this was just interesting as hell. This is Meyer Lansky. So Meyer Lansky, I guess, was a gangster, and there's some of the stuff in Goodfellas. Some of these characters, that movie Goodfellas, that most of our customers have watched. Those characters, those principal characters, are based off of real people. And if I recall off the top of my head, the Robert De Niro character in that movie was Meyer Lansky. And Meyer was the money guy who kind of ran a lot of, kept the money going out there. So this is just really weird to me. A Meyer Lansky personally gifted Masonic Hiram watch, 14 karat gold triangular Masonic pocket watch made by Hiram, $500. Look at this thing. It's a Masonic pocket watch. I mean, I'm probably, just because the fact I'm putting this up, we're probably going to get a bunch of these like Bilderberger, like people like hitting us and like telling us about the New World Order and all this kind of stuff. And I don't understand if he received this or he gave this away, but I thought Meyer Lansky was Jewish. I thought he was, because they made reference to it even in the movies, because that's why he was never really accepted in the Italian mob to a full level, because he was Jewish. Again, that's, the racism of the time. So was a Jewish mob accountant carrying a Masonic pocket watch or giving Masonic pocket watches away? That's just, just a little bizarre to me. So I guess the piece de resistance, not to be outdone, modern gangsters. If anyone's ever heard of Whitey Dunhill, and this auction is taking place in Boston, this RR auction, RR stands for Rare Remarkable, established 1976. So there's a criminal that was on the run for a long time. He was apparently big time out in Boston. His name is Whitey Dunhill. You may have known him as Whitey Bulger. He was just captured a few years ago. I guess if you're going to be based in Boston and you want to touch dirtbagginess, you can own a pair of Whitey Bulger's sunglasses. $200. That's kind of trashy, but whatever. So anyway, this auction is, we get all kinds of interesting stuff. I normally, we're doing mostly either representative guns or military guns or stuff for, for familiarization and that kind of thing. Some of this, some of this kind of stuff, this more historical stuff that's more period specific and more that's more character driven. That's the best way to put it. Isn't really in our wheelhouse, but we're on the list with all these high dollar places because we buy stuff. We buy stuff worldwide, and this catalog, even though I'm not interested in a lot of the stuff in here, I thought many of you might be. So if you want to bid for any of this, either Old West or Gangster or Prohibition or whatever all this stuff is, the live auction is June 24th in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm certain you could use a broker or an online group to place a bid. You could probably even do bids where you submit your maximum bid and just walk away and they'll bid it up for you. That's normally how we do most of it. There normally is a buyer's premium on anything you buy from a real auction. Unlike Gunbroker, it's 20%. So if you pay $100 for something, you expect to pay 120%, plus you have to pay to have it shipped. So keep that in mind if you're new to the whole auction game. And so this wraps up Armory Chat episode 29. Something a little bit different, something cool, a weird piece of mail that was tracked. Who ships catalogs tracked? I thought it was a bill that we had missed. So, I freaked out, was forced to read it, and now I'm sharing it with you. Just remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. If you like this kind of content, feel free to check out our blog, john1911.com, john1911.com. Thank you for your time, and see everybody later.